Okay, so I wanted to go back over a couple of things for remote learners. These were discussion topics that we went over in class today, and I want to make sure that you are aware of them. They are part of that video that you watched. They are the 6 elements of our wood shop safety plan, so I want you to kind of keep an eye of the way we break things down, and our shop safety rules are kind of turned into and related to each of these as well to hopefully help you compartmentalize and remember. So, the first element there's in that video was to dress for safety. So hopefully at this point you have some thought in your head. What does it mean when I'm talking about dressing for safety out in the shop? And this is whether it's in the wood shop or in the metal shop, we have different PPE and items that we wear to protect ourselves. So we got to make sure that we dress for safety. In the case of the wood shop, we need to wear our safety glasses. We need to have on long pants. We need to have closed-toed shoes. We need to have no loose-fitting clothes, no jewelry or rings or wristwatches, anything that might hang and be free or loose that might get caught in the rotating components of the machinery and pull your body parts in. So if you have long hair, we want to make sure that we tie that hair back and keep that kind of up and either under a hat or just tied up in general. So those are all kind of the areas there and some of the rules that fall under the dress for safety area. Now, number 2, that other element is be familiar with the safety rules. Today, we talked and read through the safety rules for the wood shop. There is a shop safety agreement, so you need to read through that. It's in the resources section in Google Classroom. It is a handout there, and it is an assignment that you do need to take. Read through everything, go through, fill out the shop safety agreement, sign it, go over everything with your parent or guardian. They need to sign it too, and then you can resubmit it. Now, there's several different ways that you can do that. You can either scan it if you have a scanner and then upload and submit it in Google Classroom that way. You can take a picture of it. You can upload that picture and turn that in the assignment page of Google Classroom. Or you can even bring it into the office and they'll put it in my mailbox and I'll get the actual paper copy. So that's up to you. It makes no difference to me, but I do need to have that back, and that is for a grade, so that's in there. So easy points, you just need to get it signed and get it into me. So number 3, the area, and if you are in the class, I mentioned this handle materials carefully is one that sometimes gets forgotten about as we carry wood back and forth from one machine to another, or we're moving about the actual shop. You got to be very, very careful and be aware of where that piece of wood is and where your classmates are so nobody gets hit. So as we move material products through back and forth, you also need to be aware of your lifting hazards. So if you're going to lift up some heavy boards, remember the video mentioned about bend at the knees, lift with your legs, not your back. So we want to all of that falls into that handle materials carefully, and we want to make sure that that's put in place. That 4th element is to use tools properly. So, and I will make sure I'm going to be watching, observing people as they use hand tools and as they use the other tools in the shop. Distance and remote learners are a little bit more difficult. You're going to have to make some videos of yourself so I can kind of see how you're doing it and give you feedback on maybe your body position or the way you're using the tool, things to help you improve and use that tool more efficiently. In industry, a lot of times, especially if you're a carpenter, you're working 9, 10, 11, 12-hour days. And if you are not aware of your body position and are not using correct positioning, you can wear yourself out and tire yourself prematurely, when there's some things that we can do to help make sure that you build muscles in the right way and keep yourself in good shape so that you'll be able to go the distance and work for a long full day of work. So, and that's all falls under this area of using tools properly. Now, The other thing there is the fact that, you know, sometimes I will see people using screwdrivers as pry bars. A screwdriver isn't a pry bar. It's not meant for that. It's not intended to do that. So we want to make sure to use the correct tools. In the wood shop, the other thing that I see a lot of times, and I'm real quick to kind of jump on this, is people will grab one of our wood chisels. Number one, they don't necessarily know what a wood chisel is, but they'll grab a wood chisel and start to use that like a screwdriver. It is not. Wood chisels are used for chiseling out and carving wood. If you're using it as a screwdriver, you're going to damage the cut edge and the sharp edge, and then it's going to need to be resharpened and reconditioned to get it back in working order. So, and sharpening can take a long time, especially if you put a really big nick or gouge into your chisel. So we want to make sure that we are really exercising and using tools properly as we go. The fifth element, of course, is good housekeeping, and we can always use and improve on this area. You know, keeping clutter picked up, keeping the floor swept, not allowing slips or not allowing spills to just lay there. So just general everyday housekeeping, keeping things in order, putting tools away, putting them back where they belong, picking up after ourselves, making sure trash is thrown where trash belongs, and making sure that our leftover scrap wood is put in the wood barrel or piled back in the wood storage area if it's a longer piece that needs to be. Those are all part of good housekeeping, and you will be assigned in the lab. We assign works duties at the end and work tasks at the end of every class, where everybody has one particular cleaning task that's their responsibility to take care of. So for those of you who are remote learners, I encourage you to do the same thing at your house. Keep all of your tools organized, put them where you want, so that they're within easy access for you, and you won't have to spend a lot of time looking for the things that you need. Clean up after yourself. Sweep, clean up wood chips, don't allow sawdust to lay around. All of those things will help make for a better working environment. You'll feel better about yourself. You'll be able to be more productive and get more work done when you have a good housekeeping procedures in place. And the sixth element there is to use caution when we are working with hazardous materials. Now, I've abbreviated that. You'll see that's abbreviated HAZMAT. That stands, and that is actually a OSHA regulation that what industry calls and refers to it as HAZMAT, hazardous materials. In the wood shop, that's going to be our stains, our polyurethanes, our lacquers, our paint thinners, paint. They're all hazardous materials. We need to know something about those materials and what breathing them in might do to us and have an impact on us, what spills might do if we get them on our skin, how our skin might absorb all of that. Those are all hazardous materials. Caution. Of course, the video mentioned that, you know, you're at risk of fire, burns to your skin. So it also mentioned explosions. So we really got to be paying attention to those hazardous materials that we're using in the wood shop as well. So with that being said, I'm going to show you here real quick. I'm going to go into my screen. So I want to go into Google Classroom just to show you. So let me minimize this for just a second here. So got a lot of things open here at the moment, so bear with me. So we're gonna bring up one more thing, and let me get into Google Classroom. Pull up your class in particular. And I'm going to go down in classwork. So right now in classwork, under resources, you will notice there is the shop safety agreement with a due date of September 14th, a Flipgrid consent form with a due date of September 18th. So, and your safety glasses. So remote learners, get you a pair of safety glasses, put them on your face, send me a picture, upload that picture when you have that assignment, so to submit that and get credit for that. It is the expectation, even if you are working remotely, that you will still follow all of the same shop rules that we have as though you were right here with us in our wood shop. And I'm going to be pretty stickler on that because it's important to build good working habits. If you get used to using all of this PPE and working with these particular items now, then when you do come back to school and are in school, you will be used to it and be able to adjust and follow all of our shop safety rules as well. So no, I'm not going to waver on this. The expectation is you're following the same shop safety at home that you would be here in the shop as well. So right now I'm going to go into the shop safety agreement. So, and you will see, I'm going to view this assignment with everybody that has it. So here are the instructions. So you can go right on in and click the Google document here so that you can see this. All right, now, we read through all of these in class. So I'm going to kind of real quick do the same thing. Couple of things about this. So it is broken up into our 6 elements. You will see, like right here, this acronym PPE, personal protective equipment. That is darkened. As you go down, we have industrial hygiene and BBP, right to know, safety awareness. Those are darkened in and highlighted because they are actual OSHA regulations and OSHA standards that industry has to follow, and that's what they're known as. So if you remember, I mentioned OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. You need to know about that. They help to protect workers, and the way they do that is by setting standards, safety standards in place for industry, and then companies have to follow those standards and show and prove that they are providing training in the standards and following the safety rules that OSHA puts forth. So, and they kind of set those standards and then regulate and ensure that companies are following those. You as an employee and a company both have different responsibilities. We're not going to talk about that now, but we do talk about that, what each person's role, the company and the employee, or employer and employee, what the roles and responsibilities of both are. So under dress for safety, we've mentioned here, so you've got your personal protective equipment required in the shop must be worn as specified. Your safety glasses with side shields and other forms of protection and clothing are for your protection. Gloves should not be worn when operating drills, lathes, or other types of machinery that contain rotating spindles. Wear clothes that are suitable for work. Long sleeve shirts must be worn when burning, welding, grinding, or performing other types of work where sparks or hot metal are present. And of course, in the wood shop, we typically don't want long sleeve shirts or loose fitting clothes. Neckties, rings, watches, loose articles of clothing create a hazard when operating drills, lathes, and other rotating and moving equipment. And of course, long hair must be tied back. So safety rules. So horseplay of any kind isn't permitted. So don't run, jump, push each other, get into like hand slapping contests or anything. Well, we're social distancing, so you shouldn't be doing that way. But none of that type of horseplay or roughhousing is permitted in the wood shop or in the metal shop. So, so please just don't do it. You put yourself and others at risk when you do. If you do have an injury, report that to me or Mrs. Walter Harris immediately, no matter how slight or insignificant. Let us know so we can give you instructions on how to clean the wound, how to keep it from getting infected, and what you might need to do. Now, this is especially important if you really cut yourself and you're bleeding pretty bad, because if you're bleeding and you bleed on the tables or on the tools or on the floor, we have to take some extra special precautions, and that's because of the industrial hygiene and what's known as BBP. Now, BBP stands for blood-borne pathogens. So we assume there's things in all of our blood that could be potentially dangerous to other individuals. So we need to take the right precautions to clean up any type of blood spills there and make sure that everything is clean and sanitized. So let us know on something like that. If you're unsure about the safe operation or process, you have the right to know. So that's what we're here for. Talk to us. We will explain everything and give you more information, and hopefully ease your mind and help you to know exactly what you need to do and how you need to do it. So if you feel that anything is unsafe, so report that to me immediately. So I can tell a lot by the sound of the machine to know whether that machine is being used correctly or not. So you are going to learn how to rely on your own judgment and knowledge of safety to help guide you as you go through and start to learn how, all these safe operating practices. So be aware of that. All right, you need to also verify the safety of personnel before you turn on or operate any equipment. This is more so for when we are working on equipment, but it's a good idea just to be aware of your surroundings and pay attention to it. Any caution and danger signs, there are placards on some of those pieces of equipment. So be aware of what they are. Be alert, pay attention. Horns, alarms, sounds are all important for us to learn. And of course, verbal commands, if I see somebody start to do something that they shouldn't, you're going to hear me holler pretty loudly to get their attention and hopefully prevent them and stop them from doing something that they shouldn't be doing on the machine. So don't use electrical equipment while standing on damp or wet surfaces or when your hands are wet. So there's a high risk of electrocution there. So make sure that you're doing that. Handle materials carefully. Of course, lift with your legs, not with your back. So keep your back straight. That's important. That's called ergonomics. And we'll talk a lot about ergonomics, especially when we're using hand tools, your body position, the way you stand, the way you use a tool. It can tire you out and wear you out faster, or it can help you have the endurance to last all day. So we need to be aware of that. So use tools properly. Clamp and secure equipment and material to prevent it from shifting or rotating when you're using it. Keep machine guards on the equipment. Follow the shop rules and OSHA and EPA guidelines. OSHA, again, there you see, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. EPA is the Environmental Protection Agency. So we've got to follow their guidelines on this. So, and of course, follow the manufacturer's requirements and recommendations for the equipment. So again, don't remove safety guards, machine guards, or safety switches, or alter that equipment. Practice good housekeeping. So keep your work area clean and orderly, neatly arrange equipment and material. No oil, grease, paint, or any other slippery substance on the floors. If you do find it, please wipe it up immediately. Take care of it so we don't have any slips, trips, or falls. In terms of the hazardous materials, the rules here is to be familiar with the location and operation of fire extinguishers. I've pointed those out, so you'll need to know where the fire extinguishers are, know what to do in case of a fire, how to sound the alarm and report for the fire to the teacher, and follow school fire procedures. That comes and falls under HAZCOM, which stands for Hazard Communication. That's the OSHA standard there. Learn and follow all rules specific to particular machinery and equipment. So when we get to that point, you will need to pass a rules and performance test before we allow you to have free rein on use and operate any of the equipment. So those are the shop safety rules. Here you will see the safety agreement. So make sure that you sign right here where it says I. This is where you will state your full name. So just print out your full first name and last name, and then you can apply your signature and the date that you sign it here. I want to point out, once you do that, this becomes a legal document. So protect yourself. So this is a legal document that we're having you sign. You're entering into adult responsibility here, and you need to know a little bit about signing your name and what that means when you sign your name onto sheets of paper. So at the same point, have your parent or guardian read through this statement. They sign and date it, answer these questions, and get that form back to me. So that is the shop safety agreement, where you need to go to find that. Now, in addition, back here to this, let me go back. So we also have, under classwork here, the Flipgrid consent form. Do the same thing here. So You can link right into here. This is the form. Just go ahead and read through that. Print your name, sign it, submit that back to me as well. It is important to know, in order for that to come through to me, you have to click on the turn it in button in Google Classroom. If you don't hit the turn it in button, then I don't have it and can't see it. So make sure you hit the turn it in button. So those are what we are doing today as far as the safety goes. That was hopefully I know that was a quick run through, so it's your responsibility to go back over those and know and understand what those rules are. So we also went out in the shop, and I will be back a little bit later with another video to kind of go through and let you know what those are and get us started. We're almost ready to actually start working on the first project. So now that all of our administrative and paperwork is about done and finished, we're about ready to start doing some cutting, and I'm getting excited. So I'll be back with another video here soon to kind of go back over some of the tools that you need to know and some of the general layout of the equipment in the shop.